Next, we look at proxemics. Proxemics, as the word suggests, refers to proximity between the sender and the receiver of the message. So, what is the distance between the sender and the receiver while communicating? Again, here, obviously, we are speaking about face to face communication. We are referring to actual physical face to face communication. Now, it must be very clear to you from this image that there are four zones or there are four circles in proxemics. So, the widest circle, the outermost circle, is called the public circle or the public zone, which is 4 meters or more. So when you're not acquainted with people, or you're addressing a public gathering, or maybe you are a teacher addressing a class of students, or you're making a presentation, this is the circle which you are looking at. This is the zone. This is the distance which you need to maintain. This is the minimum distance. This distance can, of course, increase. Obviously, if you are on the stage and if your audience is in the auditorium. So there is that's part of your outermost zone or your fourth zone, which is the public zone. The next you have is your social zone, where you interact with, say, people you know a little, your acquaintances, maybe your colleagues, people who you work with, or your peer group, people, your classmates could be, people who you study with. So it could be people who you share a professional and a social relation with. With who you are not exactly close with, but you're acquainted to, right? So this is your social zone, which is between 1 and 4 meters, right? Then comes your personal zone. Personal zone would be with good friends, with family members, with siblings, right? So this is your personal zone, maybe with a neighbor who you've gotten close to. And finally, this is your intimate zone. This is someone you stand at this distance with a person when you are very close to that person. So, like a mother and a child, or maybe a husband and a wife, or if you are two siblings, you're very attached to each other, or maybe even best friends. So, when you're hugging a person, or when you're standing very close to a person and talking to that person. So, that is the innermost or the intimate zone. And the range of distance is 0 to 50 centimeters between the sender and the receiver. Now, this is a general idea of proxemics. Now, depending on where the sender and the receiver stand, the communication can be structured accordingly. On the other hand, the way the communication goes can also determine the social distancing between the sender and the receiver, right? So a distance between the sender and the receiver, the more the distance, the more the level of formality. You may have seen in some Hindi films, where when the father is a patriarch, he's sitting or he's standing in one corner of the room and the son is standing at the other corner of the room, and the father and the son are having a conversation. Or it's a long dining table where the patriarch is sitting at the head of the dining table, at the head, and then the son or maybe the other person is sitting at the tail or at the very end of the long dining table. So that distance determines the relation between the sender and the receiver. So here clearly the sender is in a position of authority, which is why he's at the head of the table. So these are common proxemic elements which you may have come across in films and television serials. And even if you look at the way organizations are structured, formal institutions, office spaces are structured, like for example, if you enter the college staff room, you will have chairs around everywhere and teachers sitting. But when you want to enter the vice principal or the principal's cabin, you there'll be a person standing, there'll be a peon standing there, the peon will let you in, and then there'll be a space, and then the principal will be sitting behind the desk. So there is a level of formality. There's proxemics which comes into